Hi everybody, since we've been working on lettering and art journaling and even wall hangings, I thought we'd do something fun this week. Do some mail art. Okay, so always make sure when you're doing mail art, you leave enough room up here for your postage, and they're going to cancel stamp it, so make sure that you know you have plenty of space up here. And you also, whatever you want to do, make sure that your writing is clear and legible so the post office can read it. And they start, when they read postage, they go by the zip code first. So always make sure your zip code is very clear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw on this side of it. Now, on the back of your envelope is where you can do your return address. Okay? So, I'm really into the girls. I think everybody is right now. We're all drawing these. And everybody's always talking about how to draw a girl. And the basic for the face is this. You want to divide the face basically up in the middle, going down. And then you want to do a line that's going across. Now, most people, when they do this first line up here, they think that's for the eyes. That's actually for the eyebrows. Okay, your eyes will go below it. And then you're going to go your line here, okay, and that's for the bottom of the nose. So then you just draw your eyes. Doing a little bit big-eyed girl here, I guess. And your pupils need to not be completely showing, like you don't want a complete round. So I always have my top of my eyelid kind of cutting my pupils off. I hope you can see that right there. And this is my nose. And her head's kind of turned a little bit going this way. Not much, but just a little bit, just slightly. And then her nostrils. I'm kind of a minimalist nose person. Don't do big on noses. Right here between the nostrils is the indent to the lip. And then you're just going to bring, oops, pink lead out there. Then you're going to bring your lips out, curve them around. Of course, you can always play with them too. And you can always erase when you don't like them. Let's try that again. So, let's do lips. There we go, much better. Okay. And then I'm going to just alter this chin a little bit here. Because this is the bottom of my chin. Square it off just a tiny bit. And then bring it back up. And then my neck. Okay, so you see we got a lot going down here right with the line. You've got your middle of your face and you got your neckline. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do some flowing hair that we're going to write on. So I'm just going to kind of start here. And these are just pencil lines. I know I'm going to need 3 lines for my address. So I'm just kind of making where my address is going to go. And then this is the top of her head. So I'm going to do some swoopy hair maybe coming out there. And come down here. And we can do another swoopy, something like that. Okay. Alright, so next step is going to be pinning in some things. Let's see. I don't think I want that like that. This is where your decision-making process, and you have to sit here and kind of think how you want things to look. Sometimes is the hardest thing about doing it. We could do another. Maybe? What do you think? Let's see. If I had that coming down there, I almost forgot a little bit of her ear showing there. And your ear basically starts at your eye and down to your nose. So that gives you spacing. I'll make that a little bit. Oh, I know, that's what was bothering me. And let's bring that down to a little more face. Okay. And just some little swirls in there. Of course, we can always add those in later. And I do want this to look like part of her hair, so I'm going to take a little bit of that off. Alright, y'all can see how I am when I'm trying to design something and what I'm looking at. And speaking of what you're looking at, sorry for the poison ivy little marks here I have on my hand. But if you follow my blog at all, you know I'm out gardening, trying to tame the wooded section out there. And I always end up with poison ivy and sugar bites and numerous other things. It's always just so much fun. But I do love how it looks when the garden's done. Just like this, I love how she looks when she's done, but it takes a lot of tweaking, a lot of looking around, and I gotta look at it this way too. Okay, so we need, they're coming out of that, but we need some way, that might work actually. Okay. And let's see. Actually, I want to take that and give that some more room. Cut that off. Now, I have done this on white envelopes before, but considering that I had some beige envelopes and doing a face, it just worked out real well. I don't have to color in her face. So anyway, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink it in. This is my Sakura Jelly Roll. It's a glazed pen. You can get them individually in the store. And as you can see, I use my glazed pen a lot. And don't store glazed pens on their side. When you do that, you're pulling the ink away from this tip. And that's why a lot of people have problems. Always store glazed pens straight up, just like that. Or at least tilted so they're tilted down if you can. Okay? Mine actually are at this angle. Keeps all my glaze at the end. When you bring out a glaze that you haven't used in a while, you're going to have a little tip. And I don't know if you can see because it's really hard to see there, but there's some little tiny speckles that just came off, and that's the hardened glaze. Okay, so I usually just wipe off the tip of my pen, and then I always just do a little practice, and it's writing just fine. Okay, and as you can see, this is an old pen. It's been well used, and it still works. If you have a pen that has been sitting for a really long time or in a cold area, take your heat gun, hold it about this far, and continually move the heat gun and your pen. You don't want to just sit there with the heat gun on the pen like that. You want to move both of them so that you don't melt your pen. And when you warm that gel up, break off the tip, and I mean the crusty tip that's on the end of your pen nib, you should be able to write just fine. Had some people that I have shared that tip with, and it has worked real well. So hopefully that will work for you too. Now, of course, the tip with glazed pens is writing slow. Okay, writing fast will make the pen skip. So you have to go slowly. So what I'm going to do in now is just ink in right here, and I'm not going any further than this because I'm going to do my addressing. And I'll come back when everything's nice and dry, because remember, you have to make sure everything dries before you come back and erase your pencil lines. Okay? See you in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to just color her in. And you probably saw, or maybe you didn't, I don't know where I've edited it. But I've stuck some paper in my envelope, and that's to keep any of my inks from bleeding through, because these are envelopes. They're not art paper. They're not watercolor paper. They're made for just sending something in the mail. So, protect your surface. And I'm just going to paint it in, and then I'll come back when it's time for the lettering. I've drawn my nice simple shape here, nothing really fancy. One trick that you might want to use if you're doing any kind of line drawing is when you want to establish that you have got something coming out. Okay, so see her neck, her chin is in front of her neck. So you do a thicker line up towards where it's coming out of and taper down. So here's another one. This part of her hair is overlapping this part. So, thicker line coming out. Taper down. Okay. Here we go. Here's another one where her face is going up under her hair. So, we do the thicker line coming down. And what this does is it gives you the depth and illusion of things coming out. I don't know if I'm explaining that real well, but anytime that you have a line that's coming out from behind something else, make sure it's thicker where it starts to come out, and then just taper it down to any other line that you've got on there. And this will give your drawings a little more depth to it, a little more detail, and it just gives it more dimension, I guess, is a good way to also put it. Okay. Now, everybody draws girls differently, and there's nothing wrong with the way anybody does it. I don't do the eyelashes thing. I just do a thicker line where I want the eyes to be accented on the outside edges. And that's all that I worry about. Okay, so that was my glaze pen that you can get, like I said, by itself in the store. Now, it has a thicker point on it. The ones that come in this pack called Ice Cream Smooth have a smaller point, a finer point. So I like to start out using this one first before I go to this, because this is thinner, and if I make a mistake, it's easier to correct using a thinner pen than it is using a thicker pen. Now, because this is an address, I don't want to put this lady's address out on the mail, but this is a letter that will be sent to her. I'm just going to do our town, which is Hendersonville, North Carolina, and I'm going to do it down here on this bottom line. So, I'm going to use the tracking method. So, I'm going to start here, and I'm going to do my H. Now, because it's capitalized, I'm going to take it up and around and down. Okay, so you see how my loop up and around coming back down to the tracking. And then, just going to do my letters, just keeping a space between them, following the line of her hair that I have drawn. I've got the envelope almost done, except for the remaining address, but I can't do that online, and I can't show it to you, so we'll have to leave that be. I can remove this out of here for the time being. That's Actually, the Delusion inks did not bleed through the envelope at all, so they worked out real well. Now I'm just going to finish up a little touches. I did add some of the Cotton Candy Ranger Stickle to her lips. I like to add just a little bit of shimmer and funness, is that a word, to the envelope. You can't really add a lot of embellishment, so you have to make your embellishments that you do have flat. And I'm going to add just a little bit of highlight to her eye and some white to her pupils. And I think I'm going to take some of this yellow stickles also. I'm just going to do it in a line and just give it a little more, you know, ooh la la, some funness. And when I do this, I like to just drag my stickles. If it breaks and doesn't give you a solid line, that's awesome because it really looks better than being, see, this straight line doesn't really do that much for me. But I really like the thinner and broken lines better for what I'm doing because I'm just highlighting. Alright, so this is as far as I can take it, being that it's on the internet. Wish I could show you all of it, but you know, you can do other things too. This is one that I had on there the other day when I was doing the Versamark and Lindy's stamp game tutorial with magicals. So there's also things you can do for, what do you call this? Envelope art? Mail art? Have fun with it. I'd love to see what you do. Make sure you don't put any addresses of anybody online or on the internet. You don't want to invade their privacy. But I'd love to see how you decorate the envelope. Please visit us over on the Frosted Design blog and show us your works. We love seeing you. Take care. See you next week. Bye.